Welcome to the third and final part of this presentation. I guess it's not hard to guess the third and last novel. Of course, it's The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Perhaps the following quotes are not the most famous ones from the novel, but I chose them because they left me overwhelmed by many different emotions and thoughts. The first quote made me think of the difficulty of defining what's better for a society and the price paid to achieve this goal. The second made me re-examine the definition of ordinary and how what a certain society at a certain point in time would consider something outrageous, but then with time and after getting used to it, it could consider the same act as ordinary. This novel was published in 1985, and Atwood calls it a speculative fiction. It's narrated by a woman, or a handmaid, who is subjected to the worst kind of oppression. The novel differs from the previous two in that it is a quiet type of dystopia, and in that it doesn't feel totally impossible, which makes its impact all the greater. Now let's have a look at the most important prophecies in The Handmaid's Tale. Storming the Capitol, the building that houses the US Congress and the US Senate. Atwood predicted a coup in America that started with a security breach and an attack on the Capitol building, and finally a massacre leading to the suspension of the Constitution. In the novel, this led to the fall of the United States and the emergence of the Republic of Gilead. In 2021, there was an attack on the Capitol by Trump supporters. And those pictures are from the event of January the 6th. And these are some headlines about the attempted coup which seem to follow Atwood's prediction to the letter. The Islamophobia phenomenon. The early 80s was a period of strong and warm relations between the US and the Mujahideen, and years before Al-Qaeda was created. Yet, Atwood still predicted that any terrorist attacks that will be committed in the United States will probably be blamed on the Muslims. I don't think I need to prove the fulfillment of this prophecy, but I'll mention the word terrorism is almost only used with incidents committed by Muslims. Although there are many other incidents committed by non-Muslims in which dozens die, the perpetrators are almost never called terrorists. One of the first things that Trump did when he became president is issuing a travel ban to protect the US from foreign terrorists. The ban only prohibited travel from several Muslim countries. Finally, Muslims are assumed guilty of committing any violent incident until proven innocent. This last point is completely unjustified, as statistics from the Center for Strategic International Studies shows that attacks in the period from 2014 till 2020 committed by the far-right terrorism has significantly outpaced terrorism from other types of perpetrators, including from far-left networks and individuals inspired by Islamic State or Al-Qaeda. Atwood also predicted the rise of patriarchal extreme right to power. The systematic oppression of the Gilead residents appears through laws based on corrupt interpretation of the Bible, so that if a resident of Gilead is unlawful, they are also considered to be sinful. Let's watch this video about the manifestation of this phenomenon in our present day.
Gilead is ruled by a theocratic inner circle of male commanders with all the power.
What the misery of all men. All of you.
In our current climate, an increasing number of political candidates are calling for end to separation of church and state. The Supreme Court is issuing decision after decision at odds with the majority wishes of the U.S. population. And gerrymandering across the country is ensuring that an ever smaller percentage of voters are dictating who's elected, assuming those elections will even be respected. All of this makes Gilead's Council of Unelected Men seem less and less unrealistic.
America was not initially founded as an 18th century Enlightenment republic. It was initially a 17th century theocracy.
Gilead's outlook is also inspired by historical precedents in the U.S., like the Puritanism and witch trials in our 17th century roots, and the rise of the Christian right in the 80s, during the time Atwood was writing.
That tendency keeps bubbling up in America from time to time.
And it goes without saying that having the patriarchal right wing in power goes hand in hand with depriving women of their rights. So one of the main themes in Atwood's novel is that women lack essential rights. In Gilead, abortion was prohibited regardless of the justification. And in the past few years, a number of states have actually passed similar laws banning abortions, even in cases of rape, incest, or the health risk to the pregnant woman, regardless of the age of the rape victim or survival, all while making it hard for the victims to have access to health care facilities. On June 24, 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling overturning the Roe v. Wade decision that gave women the right to have an abortion. Thus, gave the different states the green light to issue more laws prohibiting abortion because now the ban has become legal. In Gilead, handmaids were denied their names and given the names of men who owned them. When depriving women from their names, we're practically depriving them from their identity. In Gilead, we are never told Offred's real name. Some guess it's June. All the handmaids' names are constructed by adding the prefix of, signifying ownership, to the name of their commanders. In today's society, we find that in the West, the wives usually forfeit their maiden names and take their husband's family name. And in the Arab world, mothers are usually referred to as the mother of their eldest son. So we say Ali, for instance. That would be my name. Other rights that the women in Gilead were denied are right to education, since all women weren't even allowed to read, right to have a job, and right to own property or bank accounts. The following recent headlines prove that the situation isn't much different in several parts of the world, even today, where women are denied their rights to education, work, and owning property. In Gilead, and after nursing her baby for a few months, the handmaid is transferred to a different family, and the commander's wife becomes the child's official mother. The sad fact is, America's stealing of children from their mothers has been a widespread, age-old motif, practiced against African Americans under slavery, where children were sold away in auctions, so that after slavery was abolished, mothers posted ads like this one to try to find their long-lost children. The same atrocity was committed against Native American children who were taken away by force and placed in foster homes with white Christian families, or in residential schools to isolate indigenous children from the influence of their own native culture and religion. Recently, several mass graves of children were discovered near these schools. And in the past few years, children of so-called illegal immigrants were separated from their parents, as is shown in this video.
One of the most evil things Gilead does is to steal children from their parents, both newborns from the handmaids and older children from parents who are deemed unfit. Obviously, separating parents and their children could never happen here, except that it already has and is reportedly still happening. The Handmaid's Tale raises some terrifying ideas of what it could be like if the government were to expand criteria for taking children away on supposedly moral grounds.
Again, there are more prophecies that we don't have the time to discuss in details, such as the imposition of a certain dress code on the population, especially on women, the persistence of racism despite the gains made in the 60s, the spread of pollution and its effect on the population's health. In summary, here is a review of the most important prophecies in each of the three novels. In Brave New World, 1984, and The Handmaid's Tale. And I will leave it up to you to decide on which of the authors was successful in foreseeing the future and describing our present day with greater accuracy. Finally, and if you enjoy the genre of dystopian novels, please make sure to check out my video reviewing 15 of the most famous dystopian novels. Thank you for listening and hope to see you soon in my next video. Bye-bye.